My name is Maria, and I need to share a story that has left me at a crossroads, questioning everything I believed about love, marriage, and faith. I thought I had found the perfect man in John, a devout member of our church, who seemed to embody all the virtues of a God-fearing husband. His unwavering commitment to chastity before marriage was something I admired deeply, believing it reflected his respect for me and our future together. Our wedding was a dream come true, surrounded by family, friends, and our church community. However, the first night of our honeymoon was the beginning of a nightmare. John made no move to consummate our marriage. Initially, I attributed it to the exhaustion from the wedding festivities. But as the days passed and nothing changed, I grew increasingly anxious. 1 week into our marriage, I decided to take the initiative, hoping to ignite the romantic spark. But John resisted my advances, time and time again. Frustration turned to despair, and I confronted him, tears streaming down my face, asking why he was punishing me this way. After days of emotional turmoil and threats to leave, John finally confessed. He was impotent. I felt utterly betrayed. The man I married had kept a fundamental truth from me. My world shattered. I spent nights crying, feeling deceived and scammed. But John, ever the smooth talker, managed to convince me to stay. He proposed a solution that, at the time, seemed like the only way to preserve our marriage and avoid scandal within our church and families. John suggested that I secretly seduce his close friend, Mr. Richard, a notorious playboy. The plan was for Richard to father our children without his knowledge, maintaining the facade of a perfect Christian marriage. Reluctantly, I agreed, believing it was the lesser evil compared to the shame of separation. A few days later, I began engaging Richard in more conversations and wore seductive clothing when he visited. His reactions made it clear that the seduction was working. One night, John returned home drunk, with Richard's help. I wore an irresistible see-through nightgown, and after settling John in bed, I convinced Richard to stay over in the guest room. The attraction between us was palpable, and that night, he made love to me. Days later, I discovered I was pregnant. Our son's birth was celebrated with great joy, both in our family and church. We repeated the act for our second child, a daughter, and again for our third, another son. In all these, I know Richard was enjoying his escapades with me without the knowledge that my husband and I was using him to make our marriage fruitful. Each encounter with Richard grew more intense, culminating in a prolonged and satisfying encounters in different hotel rooms out of town. During our third child's dedication at church, a casual remark from an observant family friend about the striking resemblance between Richard and my new baby boy broke me. Overwhelmed by the years of deceit and secrecy, I broke down and confessed everything at the altar, shattering the ideal image our community had of us. Now, I face a new dilemma. Richard, the biological father of my children, wants custody, especially now that his devastated wife wants a divorce. My husband, John, insists they are his by virtue of our marriage. And I am caught in the middle, uncertain about the future. Should I leave John and become a single mother? Should I marry Richard after his divorce with his wife? Or should I stay in my marriage, trying to navigate this web of lies and responsibilities? I am lost and need guidance. What should I do? How do I protect my children and make the best decision for their future and mine? Your advice would be greatly appreciated.